Welcome back to the Live Well podcast. I'm Matt Wilson, financial advisor, coach, and business owner of my practice here at Cornerstone Wealth Services in South Bend, Indiana. And I'm so glad that you're here. And so we're going to continue our conversation with Lyndon from Life Plan. And we're going to talk through, and I didn't do a very good job in the first episode with Lyndon here, referring back to the core four, really just understanding when to say no and how to ask for, or when you need to ask for help. And, we just had a nice brief conversation about that where it's just, what is this really all about anyway? Yes, we're trying to help you live well. And there's a tremendous correlation between what it takes to be wealthy in life and healthy in life. And there's a correlation between finances and things like that, but also in our relationships. And, we were just talking about this and we're just going to dive right in here to the second part. But I think that as we talk through the first part of it, it's very apparent to me that you've got, it's like the folks that are perpetually poor and they can't break the cycle.
Right.
I've heard it explained. I'm not sure if it was rich dad, poor dad. I got to give credence to who it's due, but what I would say is that I've heard it explained this way, that the reason that you can't break the cycle is that you have two boxes in your ledger, so to speak, and that's you have your income box and you have your liabilities box. And the reason that people continue to live in that cycle is that they don't know that there's a third box. The third box is assets. And so as it relates to finances, as it relates to living a better life and being able to put money aside, because our greatest risk, depending on somebody else to take care of us. And how do we navigate all this stuff if we only are concerned with income and liabilities? And you raised a great point in our conversation. You said, what we like to do is what? We like to provide
material goods,
prosperity
to help people in poverty.
Yeah.
And research has already shown that doesn't work. A great book, When Helping Hurts, is a great book that we do poverty the wrong way in America. We think we have to encourage them to have money or have the American dream. Well, the American dream isn't that successful. There's a lot of brokenness, suicide, addictions in our world. Providing for their material need isn't the solution, because in that book and in life, what's broken is not our financial ledger. Yes, that's broken, but what's broken is what I love what you shared, Matt, is that third ledger, our sense of purpose. In the book, When Helping Hurts, there's this situation of it's an image of our relationships. There's four of them: our relationship with God, our relationship to ourselves, our relationship to others, and our relationship to the created world. What broke is our relationship with God. When that broke, everything else broke.
Yeah.
And we can't go to the ledger number one and ledger number two for the solution. We have to go restore the ledger number three, which is our relationship with God, our sense of purpose. Our relationship with God restores our relationship to ourselves. It tells us who we really are and why we were created. And more importantly, is our broken relationship with others. If it's not restored with God first, we don't know how to relate to others. And that's why sometimes we think the solution is ledger one and ledger two, when we need to restore our ledger three, which is our relationship with God, our purpose, and mankind and others.
Yeah, and you're referring to the book When Helping Hurts by Steve Corbett and Brian Ficker. Is that correct?
Yes, that's a good book.
We'll put that in the show notes for folks. But I would say that, as we were talking through that, it just became so apparent to me that all of this, living well through it all, it really just begins with an awareness.
Yeah.
And that's the third ledger that we were talking about. So the first box that, folks look at is income, and then they look at liabilities, but they're not aware that third box exists, that the box of assets that might pay you an income, they're only concerned, where's their next paycheck going to come from? And you've got to break that cycle. So it does begin with just being aware that box exists. So as we were talking, you mentioned, awareness with your condition, awareness with, what truly satisfies, awareness with your relationship with God, with your family, and then awareness with what's working. So I think you have to start with awareness, and they both require some sacrifice. Being able to feed that asset box requires sacrifice by way of, hey, not living beyond your means, making sure that you know where your money goes. I mentioned in the first Money Minute with Matt that 70% of Americans don't have any idea what they're spending at all. And so they have no idea where their money's. They just hope it works out. Like, oh, this is great, money in, money out. But they don't think about that third box. They don't ever feed it. So anyway, I think that was just foundational. And then we were talking through that before we got live here on the air, but or in the podcast. But I would say that, we'll put the book in the notes. I think what you said is so crucial to being able to live well. And then I think that's really the whole idea behind your ministry. And so tell me about that and the birth of Life Plan.
I've only been with Life Plan as executive director for 10 years, but Life Plan has been here for 40 years. This year, actually, we're celebrating our 40th anniversary. Anyway, Life Plan was birthed because there was an abortion clinic established in Niles, Michigan, in 1985, and the Christian community came together and said, let's respond to this. Let's set up a pregnancy care center. I don't know if your listeners know, but after Roe versus Wade, there were two responses to the abortion battle in our country. Right for Life, which changes the law of the land. This is a ministry to change the law of the land. They're scattered across the country. And then also setting up pregnancy care centers where the hands and feet, where women can go to a place where they can receive counseling and support to keep the baby. So there's about 3,500 of them across the country. And before Life Plan, it was called Pregnancy Care Center of Niles. That's why Life Plan was established as a place where people could go to have support to keep their babies. So we were one of 3,000 of them across the country. We've grown since then, and that's why it was established. That's why Life Plan was established. And I've kept the mission going, but I've expanded the mission of Life Plan since I've been here 10 years ago.
Yeah, so I guess tell me more about that. Obviously been around, but I think it's really gotten legs. We've got to know each other through, the banquets, and you have spoken at a couple of different churches that I've been at. But I would say that overall, the awareness of Life Plan has really flourished under your leadership. And I don't know, just I guess talk me through that.
Very quickly, I made sure the mission was clear. So the mission statement, we used to be very long, and I made it very short and very precise. We exist to spread the gospel by helping people choose life and live a hope-filled life. Essentially, we're helping people choose life, save babies, and point people to Jesus. Jesus is the hope of the world. I always say, if you only help people with their problem and not really connecting them to Jesus, you're like moving the deck chairs on the Titanic. It's going down. We need to give them the hope of Jesus Christ. Christ came to restore our relationship to God the Father, and he did that completely. That's why it's called the good news. And everything that Life Plan does now, not only helping them choose life, but we're going into schools. We offer abstinence program. We offer pregnancy tests. We offer STI testing and treatment. We're into schools. We're into the community. We do running events. We have golf outing, all for the reason of getting the opportunity to share Christ, which is the hope of the world.
Yeah.
And we've expanded. We won the Hope Award in 2022. I don't know if your listeners know. World Magazine does an award every year nationally. And in 2022, we won it. It's given by World Magazine, the World Magazine. It's given to a ministry that doesn't take money from the government, is compassionate oriented, and is also gospel oriented. And we won it in 2022. So we're doing something right. And anyway, a lot of things that are happening in Life Plan, all for the purpose to pointing people to Jesus.
You know, I think that as you talk through your backstory and getting into Life Plan, I mean, obviously, there's people out there who might feel like either they need to move on, they need to start something. I guess, how did you know it was time to, or how did you know Life Plan was, I guess, the right fit? And then, I guess, walk me through that transition, because it had to be hard moving away from Awana. I'm not sure of the timeline there, if it was right away. Okay.
About a year.
So, yeah.
I wanted to be in ministry. I felt called to ministry, so it was no problem. I just had to wait for God's leading.
Sure.
And I went to Life Plan because it was, we decided as a family, do we go back to Chicago because we were here, moved here from my in-laws, go back to Chicago or find a ministry here. And at that time, I was taking care of my mother-in-law because I loved her so much in the middle of the dementia. That's another story. Anyway, one of the co-workers at Pregnancy Care Center at that time goes to my church. She said that there's a job opening. Again, it was a 64% cut from what I was used to, but we survived because God provided during that time. And I knew it was a calling because I wanted now, with wiser understanding of ministry, and it's not about myself because I was already broken and found what was enough. It was Christ. I didn't need glamour. I didn't need to prove myself anymore.
Yeah.
I was wiser now because I saw how it was done the wrong way in leading others.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, I want to start. And I said to the board when they invited me to join, I said, I want to run a ministry that I know for sure it isn't about my efforts or my ability, but because God is king and God rules here. And that was my prayer. My staff knows that. I'm not here to prove anything. I'm here to run a ministry that is so gospel-oriented. The success of it is nothing but what God is doing. And that's been my prayer from the beginning, and we'll see what the Lord does.
Yeah, and I think, as you talk through your own story and just your own breakthrough, you've kind of turned that into a tremendous platform for other people's healing.
Yes.
And that's really powerful. And so, when you look at Life Plan, you mentioned a little bit about it, but I guess tell us about a father, a mother, somebody who's walked through the doors and found hope.
Oh my goodness. Lots and lots of stories. Okay. I can go on and I have some favorites. There was a lady that came in with her husband. They already had 3 boys. They had 3 boys already. And husband was in school, and she literally, you can find this in one of our videos, she literally came to our campus looking for an abortion. Okay. She was a native of Madagascar. Okay. So she went online looking for, and literally when she this is her story. When she looked at the site, she was looking for an abortion. Okay. And what was written in our website was adoption.
Oh,
this is the whole story. Nothing but she'll even say that. So she looked at that and she read adoption. She was looking for abortion. So she went to our campus. She met with a consultant, a Christian consultant from one of our churches. And she was laying her story that she wanted an abortion and all that because she already had three boys, and her husband was working, and she was just a student visa here with her husband, and she was laying her story. And the counselor said this, God is big, and said other things, but God is big. And she heard that phrase, God is big. And she realized that in her situation, God is big enough to take care of my situation, even though I don't want the baby. Well, she talked it over with her husband. Husband got convicted and everything. They decided to keep the baby. Just from that one little word. She said this in her testimony. She saw that it was an abortion. She saw it in her eyes, but it read adoption, because we don't do abortion at the Light Plant. Anyway, that's one of the stories. There's other stories. There's a man who comes and does our lawn work for many years, and he doesn't want to be known. He doesn't want to be paid. He has a landscaping ministry. He comes regularly to landscape our building. One of our staff person went out and said, "Hey, we just want to thank you, and we just want to appreciate it." And he said, "I want you to know the reason you're not paying me is because I want to do this. I just want to give back." And he said, "I want to introduce you to a guy." He brought a guy. Come. This is my 18-year-old son. I came to your organization 18 years ago, and they can convince me to keep my son.
Wow.
And here he is. And this is why I do it.
You never know what that one word is, or
right.
How you just have to be,
right.
I guess, ready for that.
Ready.
And again, I think about the fact that whether it's, there's certainly some parallels here. You've got, when is it time to step away? When is it time to, start something new? Or when is it a good time to have this child? Maybe it's never a good time. It's just time. And so, understanding that, having community around you, and then you guys have tremendous resources.
Yes.
So, I guess one question I would have for you, and just understanding all the backstory is, and I think I know the answer now, but what would you say to somebody who is saying to themselves, who's listening, feels like the obstacle is too big?
Yes. There is no depth. There is no brokenness. There is no sin that God cannot forgive, relationship that God cannot restore, valley that God cannot. In fact, I have a phrase, grace lives in the valley. I read that somewhere, when there's brokenness. Grace lives in the valley. When in our brokenness, when we feel there's no hope, that's our God. Our God is a God of hope. By the way, when in 2000, one of the we rebranded Life Plan from Pregnancy Care Center to Life Plan in 2017.
Yeah.
And the tagline at that time was, "You, your baby, your family. You, baby, family." Okay?
Yeah.
That was the tagline. Just last year, we changed the tagline. And you know what the tagline is now for Life Plan? Where hope begins.
Yes.
Where hope begins. You go to our website, it says that there, where hope begins. Why? Because we believe and we want to introduce to people the gospel of Jesus Christ, which is God.
Mm-hmm.
He is the God of hope. Whatever I can say to your listeners, marital issue, parenting issues, family issues, your own brokenness, you know how broken I was. God can restore it. That's what our God is.
Yeah.
And we all are messy. We all have messy lives. One of my favorite phrases, life is messy. Sin is messy, but God came to restore that. That's what Jesus Christ did. So even in your financial situation, which is our context here, and it's broken, God can restore it. It's not about you. It's about trusting God. So our clients from our community come to us with their felt needs. We help them with their felt needs, but we also introduce them to a deeper hope for all their lives. So it applies everywhere, where hope begins.
I guess, how would you encourage men and women just to not suffer in silence and to reach out. Because that's one of my core four. I mentioned that in the first couple of episodes here that, look, the core four is know how to give, know how to receive, and then obviously know when to say no. You have to say no to the right things.
Mm.
And then you have to know when to ask for help.
Yes.
So I think that's probably the one that I struggle with the most in life. How would you encourage people to not suffer in silence?
Yes, to ask for help.
Yeah.
From a biblical perspective, God did not meant for us to be alone. And that's why created partner in the context of marriage. Marriage is a wonderful thing. In the regards to just general life is messy and we need help. We need the church. If you want to be a Christian, we need one another. I know that in my leadership, there's always other leaders that I went out to ask for their advice, whether that leader is a book or an individual. But there's others that have gone before us in our faith that are wonderful. Personally, I look at the faith of the past people, the Puritans, the people who lived well, and how they live, and how and recently our John MacArthur just passed away in our Christian faith. He was a godly, fervent man. Okay, so we all need to look to somebody to help us.
Yeah.
And if that isn't an individual, in whatever context, finance, ministry, parenting, marriage,
right?
Because I have two therapists. One of my daughter, and one thing that about therapists is they can't counsel their wives. You can't counsel. You need somebody else's help. That's all applicable. It's human nature. We were not meant to be alone.
Yeah.
And so I encourage your listeners to get financial help. That's what you're here for, Matt, in regards, and that's a great ministry that you're doing. But in aspect, my wife and I counsel 3 couples right now, but we've been doing it for over a decade already. So people need help. I've noticed when young couple, when they get their first kid or their second kid, they struggle. Everything gets messy because their lives just... And we found out that we've been counseling young couples now because they get off track, and we just need people to help. So I love your one of your 4th principle, get help. Yes, get help. It's okay. Because
just being able to again have the awareness that you don't need to suffer alone. But as I mentioned earlier, know who to ask help from.
Yes.
Right. And I think you have confidentiality agreements.
Absolutely.
And maybe some people have been hurt in local ministry where they might not have those kinds of agreements.
Yeah.
And they kind of, and I've seen that happen in the past where unfortunately, just people talk and then, they just feel marked. So I think you providing a way for people to, in confidence, go and say, hey, we need some help here.
Yeah.
And being able to connect them, that's amazing.
That is actually one of the, I'll say this, one of the, I work with men who are struggling and marriages who are struggling. When you start saying you're broken, when you affirm that you're broken. In fact, AA is one of the steps affirming that I can't do this.
Yeah.
And if you want a biblical point of it, it's this phrase. It's a phrase. Have mercy on me.
Yeah.
Lord, help me. That's the beginning part.
And a lot of people are probably saying, boy, I just don't know. I don't think that's possible. I've tried everything. I don't think it's possible. And I guess my encouragement would be, and I'm sure yours is too, just ask.
Just ask.
And see what happens. What do you got to lose?
What do you got to lose? Exactly.
So,
and there are lots of stories, including the one I just shared. No matter how broken you are, there is hope.
Yeah.
There is hope.
God creates, man screws it up. God redeems. All throughout I think we were talking about that earlier.
Creation, fall, redemption.
Yep.
Creation, fall, redemption. God redeems.
Absolutely. So I think let's pause here because I think what we want to do next is we want to talk through specific tools that can help people. And that's going to be, I think, the next episode, just because, we kind of went a little deep here. I think we can summarize this along with the first episode, and then we can kind of go into some of those tools. But that's what we want to provide, tools to be have a healthier and wealthier life, not just in your physical health, but in your financial health. So everybody's different, and why shouldn't your financial plan be different too? So I just encourage you, if you want to take that next step and get some help, contact Lyndon if you feel it's appropriate based on what we discussed. Go to lifeplan.org, and we'll have all the information in the show notes. But also reach out. Go to mattwilsonfinancial.com. Be happy to give a financial assessment and just see how we can just help you live well. And that's what we try to aim to do for all of our clients and all the folks that we work with. So would love that opportunity. And if you're interested in that, again, mattwilsonfinancial.com, and reach out to me there. Okay. So we're going to stop there, and then we'll pick it up with the tools. And this is great. I just really appreciate you being real and also providing practical help for those people who just think it just can't get better. So that's what we want to do, and appreciate it. And that's it for this episode of the Live Well podcast. And hope to see you next time. Take care and live well. Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor, member FINRA SIPC. The opinions voiced in this podcast are for general information only and are not intended to provide specific advice or recommendations for any individual. To determine which strategies or investments may be suitable for you, consult the appropriate qualified professional prior to making a decision.